And welcome everyone, Lionheart here, and today I'm taking a look at the XMG P506 gaming laptop. Now, full disclosure to you guys, XMG, for those that don't know, are my laptop sponsor. I've been working with them for the past few years now. They originally sponsored me with a P505 laptop, and a couple of months ago they swapped that out for this new version, the P506, equipped with a GTX 980M graphics card, along with lots of other goodies, and we'll get into the spec in a moment. But yeah, full disclosure, they are my sponsor, so this is a sponsored video. As such, although they're not paying me to make this video, they have supplied the laptop to me to use and keep until later down the line they want to swap out for another model and for me to use, and then cover that in a video similar to this later down the line. So yeah, check out the I'm Sponsored video, which I made the other year, which details all of that in more detail. If you want to, feel free to check out my P505 coverage as well. With that one, I split up the kind of general overview of the laptop and then did lots of separate benchmark videos. What I'm going to be doing today is going to run through the specs of the laptop, its customization options and all of that, the various ports that it has available. Then we're going to jump straight on into benchmarks, go through lots of Total War titles, Rise of the Tomb Raider, The Division, and then I'll leave it open to you guys. If you want to see more benchmarks, you can feel free to submit games down in the comment section. So yeah, just let me know what you'd like to see, any kind of specifics, any further in-depth information you'd like to see, then feel free to leave it down in the comment section. If you are interested in picking up an XMG laptop, then you can use the link in the description. You can save £30 with a discount code there as well if you are interested in. As I said, they're very customizable, so you can tweak and change the specifications to your heart's desire pretty much across most of their laptops and PC systems, to get the product that's right for you, basically. So for all those various stages of the video, there will be timestamps down in the description. During the benchmarks, I probably won't be talking much through them. I'll probably just let you guys know the settings at the start and then allow you to just enjoy those benchmarks. Most of the games I'm covering all have built-in benchmarks. In fact, I think all of them do. So that's what I'll be running and just going through today. But first, let's talk specifications and kind of features of the laptop itself. Once we've gone through the benchmark, I'll kind of just give you a brief summary of my time with the laptop, you know, what I think about it, and then we'll wrap up this video for now. So as I mentioned, XMG's laptops are pretty darn customizable. The one that was sent out to me a couple of months ago specs out to a whopping £1,800 odd. But as I said, they're pretty darn customizable, so you can tweak and change the options. For instance, with the P506, you don't have to go with a GTX 980M, you can go for a 970, and there's two different levels of that, one that supports G-Sync and one that doesn't. The 980M, though, however, does support G-Sync with the 1920 by 1080 15.6-inch monitor that is equipped to the P506. And I've got to admit, if you haven't experienced G-Sync before, I've been pretty impressed with it, especially over V-Sync. It's very smooth and it's a pretty good system. But obviously there'll be a fair few of you watching that are like, no, not interested in a mobile powerhouse machine. I'd rather have a static desktop, and that is totally fine. I totally appreciate and understand that. However, I know full well from my own experience and others that there are those out there looking for a high performance machine, and unfortunately the kind of reality of that is that you're not going to find one cheap. If you do find one cheap, often you will find that there's been various parts where they've kind of cut corners. I've seen some really high powered graphics cards paired up with low end processors, and just you then get a bottleneck, and so it doesn't run that well. So going into a gaming laptop like these and the ones that XMG offer, they are premium and the price is high, but what you get is a monstrous powerhouse product for that, which hopefully you guys will see with the benchmarks. But anyway, the spec of the laptop they sent me, the P506, £1,800 odd. That does include Windows 10, so £1,700 odd if you didn't have an OS and you already had disks and a code to use. So the GTX 980M, 8GB of GDDR5, VRAM with that, obviously it's supporting G-Sync, a 1920 by 1080 15.6-inch monitor, an i7 6700HQ quad-core processor with hyper-threading, starts at a base clock of 2.6 GHz and turbos to 3.5, which will be more than enough for most games and even intensive rendering projects. I've used this as a mobile workhorse rendering machine as well as a gaming machine. Also used it to stream with, and it's done pretty well with that in the past too because of that powerful i7 processor. I've got 16 gig of DDR4 RAM, a 256 gig M.2 SSD from Samsung, a 950 Pro, and a 2 terabyte hard drive in there as well, so plenty of storage. That M.2 SSD means I get very fast boot times for the OS for Windows 10, and I can have a couple of games and core programs on there, but the rest of my games I put on that massive 2 terabyte drive. And it's also got a Qualcomm killer wireless card in it with Bluetooth support. And then obviously finally the operating system that was put on is Windows 10 Home 64-bit. So those are the specifications of my P506. Size and I guess dimension wise, with the GTX 980M has a width of 385mm by a depth of 271mm by a height of 29mm, and it weighs 2.5 kilograms. I've got to admit, it's not actually that heavy, and I've got it in a backpack. It's perfectly happy in there, you know, to carry it. The weight's not too bad at all. There is a pretty sizable power brick with it, but again, that's not too much of a problem when you have it in a backpack or something like that. It's pretty easy to manage with the cable there itself. So let's go around the laptop, although briefly just mention battery life. Pretty reasonable, pretty normal for a laptop that's this power hungry, that's got this kind of spec in it. You know, for general usage, you get, you know, 2-3 hours worth of just basic web browsing and what have you. Maybe playing a bit of solitaire, but for, you know, if you're playing Total War Warhammer, things like that, one, I would highly recommend you have it plugged in so that GTX 980M gets kind of the full power to it. Otherwise, you'll probably be able to drain your battery within an hour and 20 pretty quickly. But yeah, I'd have it plugged in if you do want to game on this. So on the left hand side of the laptop we have 2 mini display ports, a USB 3.0 port and an HDMI out. There's also a fan vent as well at the kind of top left side, and there's plenty of vents underneath as well of the laptop. Some nice little rubber feet giving it a little bit of extra kind of airflow underneath it. On the back of the laptop, all we have is the power port in to attach the charging brick and power connection, and a USB port as well, 3.0, as well as a pretty hefty vent as well, again for getting more air out of the machine itself. Finally, on the right hand side of the laptop we have a Kensington lock port, Ethernet port, 2 USB 3.0 ports, what I believe is actually a SIM card port, which I've never really noticed before. I always thought it was part of the 6-in-1 card reader, which is next to it, which has a little cover on it as well. But that's pretty interesting. I learn something new every day. My SIM card will fit in there. Anyway, we also have the audio ports as well, headphone, microphone, and a line in or auxiliary jack there as well. Other features to briefly mention before we go on to those all-important benchmarks are a full-sized 103 backlit key keyboard with white light illumination behind those, and a 2 megapixel webcam. Touchpad is pretty basic, it works fine, supports multi-gestures and things like that that you can set up via software on the laptop itself. So yeah, let's take a look at those benchmarks, then we'll come back. I'll give kind of my concluding thoughts and just a little bit of talking about my experience with the laptop over the last few months, and then we'll wrap up this video. So let's begin those benchmarks.
Nautilus, Varus, give me back my legions! You are walking into a trap, Varus. The German will betray you. He will betray Rome.
Arminius, a traitor? I think not. Rome may have raised me, trained me, but my loyalty is to my people!
Okay, so that was the benchmarking. If there are any other games or programs you'd like to see tested and benchmarked on the P506, then do let me know down in the comment section. I'll get around to it in the next few days for you guys, providing I have those games available. But I have a pretty extensive library, so hopefully what you're looking for I will have. I just briefly want to talk about temperatures, noise, and just kind of my final thoughts before I wrap up this video. Hopefully those benchmarks will kind of speak for themselves. Obviously with Tomb Raider, DirectX 12, and with Division, we were just shy of kind of that 60 FPS mark, but a few tweaks to various settings here and there without, any massive, downgrading will enable you to get a solid 60 FPS in both of those titles quite easily. In Rome 2, absolutely smashed it. It's a pretty well optimized game these days. Attila, not so much. It kind of goes to show how, I guess, the difference in optimization. While sure there was some progression in terms of more demanding graphics and things like that, it really took a nosedive after Rome 2. Warhammer bringing it back up just on that 60 FPS mark there. Again, that with my kind of custom settings that I use to kind of record with, stream with, and what have you on my main PC as well. I use a very similar set of settings, just a few things tweaked here or there. But yeah, Warhammer for the most part is pretty well optimized too, and as you can see, running happily on that laptop. Although the benchmarks aren't necessarily the best kind of gauge of performance in those games, jumping into them and fighting large battles still runs perfectly fine on the P506. Temperature wise, here's a quick image. This was running in the background while I was doing all those benchmarking tests for the last, well, I've spent about an hour or so gaming as well. So the maximum temperature topped out at 79 degrees, and the lowest when the laptop was first turned on up to 49. That's actually not that bad for a mobile GPU. Sometimes I've seen, well, my War Machine gets hotter than that at times with some games now and then. But obviously with a laptop you've got to remember that temperatures will generally be higher than a comparative desktop anyway, because of the much smaller form factor and where those components are all living and breathing together. But yes, temperature wise, not a problem, haven't had any issues there. Noise wise, the fans do certainly ramp up and you will hear them. I'd be lying if you said they were silent. They're certainly not. However, are they so loud that they detract from my gaming experience? No. I can certainly hear them while I'm gaming, but the speakers on the laptop actually aren't that bad at all. Plus, you can always plug in a headset if you need to. But while the fans are certainly there, the speakers do a fine job of masking the noise from the various fans inside the laptop, and you can happily game without headphones if you desire. Overall, I've been really impressed with this laptop. It's taken every single game I've thrown at it over the last few months, and I'm sure it will continue to do so going forward. If you do have any other further questions, do let me know down in the comment section. Again, hope you found the timestamps useful for this kind of packed video. And yeah, do suggest, feel free, any games that you would like to see benchmarked further, or any other scenarios you would like tested out with the laptop. If you have any other questions, you know where to leave them. But until next time, don't forget to comment, rate, and subscribe. Follow me on Facebook and Twitter. Take pride and join the Legion. Check out my affiliates and sponsors, XMG, Green Man Gaming, and Overclockers UK. Until next time, ciao for now.